Hey guys, how's it going? Miso here, back with another Exos Heroes video, and if you're wondering why my hair is messed up, it is because I just woke up. But I woke up to this news of an Exos Heroes update, and I'm here to cover it. I already read over this, and I have to say that the changes are... I'm mixed. Because I think that it makes sense to change it this way, but also, you know, we'll just get into it right now. So maintenance starting at 12 o'clock PST, so very soon, in about a little less than an hour, 45 minutes. So during the time you can't play, blah, blah, blah. So let's get into the changes. So a lot of the changes are going to be making it so that skills and things like barriers mostly reflect off of current HP and current defense, so current stats basically. So that is a very interesting change, because now what that means is, well, so let's get into it actually. So units like Vagabond, Swordsman Rudley, Regular Rudley, Fergie, Iris, and these random ass characters down here. So before they had barriers and shields basically that were affected off of basic health. So what that means is that basic health is the health that they have at the beginning of the battle, right? Before any buffs get applied, before anything happens, their health at that time. So that means that these barriers will probably be a lot weaker because, well, it depends, right? Actually, no, it doesn't depend. It'll probably be a lot weaker because current health is much different than basic health. If you knock a character down to, let's say, 10% of their health, their barrier is going to be really, really small. It's not going to be a situation where they get down to, like, 100 health and then they all of a sudden get like a 4K barrier. That's not going to happen anymore. They're just going to get a percentage of their current health. So I think that is probably a healthy change. So these units aren't just always self-sustaining and getting a bunch of health back. Now that's fine. These units a little bit of a nerf, unfortunately. For me, doesn't really matter. I didn't have Vagabond Rudley. I never had Rudley with the whatever effect that you needed to have. I think it was like command or something to be able to get those barriers. So for me, it's not much of a change. It just means that these units are going to be easier to go against. Now, next change is the big one for me, and this is going to be probably for most people, because most people, I'd say, have a Dragon Emperor Knight. Because of that, this change is going to be very significant. So now your Wrath damage and your Dragon Scale Shield barrier is going to be affected on current attack and current defense. So what does that actually mean? Now you're thinking, same with the one above, right? It should be a nerf. So current health, that means that, well, if he's weak, then the barrier is going to be small, right? Well, that's not really the case, because current health goes down through the battle, but current attack and current defense don't really necessarily go down in the battle. You either have to debuff them, or, well, you just have to debuff them for that to happen, right? Which we'll go over in a little bit. There's really not that much that does that. Now, one exception, the Banga family, those units, FC Morris, FC Jin, those types of units, those will be a significant effect. And, I think that if you have those units, it'll help a lot now. Even more than before, actually. Because before, it did help already. So let's jump into the game real quick and take a look at some of these units. So, as I mentioned earlier, Fate Core Garf going to be a lot more powerful, because if you look here, command, it gives allies with lower maximum health than himself command mark, which increases defense and health by 20%. So what that means is, with the increased defense, you're going to have a situation where the units are going to have more defense and their dragon scale is going to be doing a lot more work. It's going to give a lot bigger barrier, and as a result, it's going to be hard to break through those shields, which is unfortunately a buff to these dragon scale units, these dragon blood units. But I think that Garf is going to be a lot stronger. And in addition to that, it's going to make Illum, which was pretty popular in the current meta, a little bit weaker, because Illum does not have that ability to make it so that your current, HP, current defense goes up. Illum will provide that provoke, which is probably still going to be pretty powerful. Like, she's really powerful right now, and I don't think she's going to be any less powerful than before, but it's just going to make it so that, Garf is going to be a lot more relevant. It's going to be a lot more prevalent. And now, really, in most situations, you're really only going to have 2 slots in your front row, right? Your Fake Corana and your Illum or Garf. With this change, it's going to make Illum a lot less attractive to have on your team, unfortunately. And the thing is, Illum is also kind of getting changed as well. So if we look at Illum right now, and I'll read over this in the future in the patch notes, it basically is going to make it so that with certain units, it's going to be more powerful, but with certain units on an enemy team, it's going to be a little bit weaker as well, because it's going to change it so that instead of basic attack for the heals over time, it's going to be current attack. So yeah, I think that Illum is going to be a little bit less relevant, mostly because of this Garf buff, I guess. Buff to these dragon shields if they have more defense. But overall, I think that it mainly is because of this buff to Garf. Now, one thing to note is that with this change, it's going to make it so that debuffs are going to be more powerful, right? But unfortunately, at the moment, there really isn't much that debuffs defense and attack, which is the main factors to this dragon shield, right? So if you look at Emma, Soul Capture, decreases target attack by 50% of own. It's really not that big. Emma's probably going to get like, 2k attack, something around there with decent gear. 2.5k maybe. 50% of that, it's really not that much, unfortunately. Well, it is a lot of it. It is a lot. It'll decrease by like 1,000, right? But what that means is it also requires you to hit the target, which will increase their stacks, which might just kill you outright. So Emma, maybe, we'll see what happens. We'll have to do some testing. I don't have her built, but I do have her, so we can test it out later. But my hunch is that it's not going to be that powerful. It's not going to be that significant, especially because it's only a single target skill, right? If they have other units, and this is a 4 mana skill, so you're going to have to take some time to buff it up, or get it up. So I think it's not going to be as relevant, but we'll see. Now, in addition, let's think about the other side, right? So there's attack with the wrath damage, increase that. There's also defense, which is what increases the barrier size, right? And I think that's even more limited, because that's when you have to start dipping into these 4 stars. So one of them is Terea, which decreases the target's defense by 45%. And with that, decreasing target. So let's step into the 4 stars, which, is even going to be even more limited, because really the only one that decreases defense is Terea, which decreases the target, a single target defense by 45% of its own defense, which if we look at it, 489 defense, probably plus 1,000 something with the armor. 50% of that, it's less than 1,000. It's really not going to be doing much. Yet again, it's only a single target, so not that effective. And she's a 4-star. Even if you buff her up a little bit with this Unleash Potential, it's only an extra 18 defense. She's not going to have as many stats as like a Faded unit. So, and then Obelia, again, decreasing attack. Not that much, unfortunately. I think Chi did something too. Yeah, 90% attack with all enemies again. It really isn't that much, unfortunately. And this one, I think, and these two, you have to attack them too. So basically, that's just like a suicide mission. So, unfortunately, at the moment, it's not going to be that much of a change. It's just going to be a buff to these Dragon Blood units. Now, what that also leaves open is that for any further future units, they can make it more of a debuff heavy meta to kind of counteract these Dragon Blood units, right? So that's what this update really opens up to. So instead of being like a current nerf to them, it's kind of like a current buff to them because of Garf, but it leaves this window for the future where they can introduce units that decrease defense, decrease attack by a lot. Now, we already kind of have that in the game right now, but it's not like super strong when going up against a full team. So we have that in the Banga family, right? So the Banga family, I've talked about this in the past, they have this passive called, I think it's Heart Strike. So when you hit an enemy, debuff with Heart Strike, right? First hit, it'll decrease their attack speed. Second hit, it'll decrease their defense by 1,000. So that's pretty much stripping all of their armor, almost. That's a lot. So that means that their the shield that they get will be much lower. And then 200%, the third one is going to be inflicting blind, right? That's always been really useful, even now before these changes. So the key one is this decreasing defense by 1,000 of the target. That is going to make a huge difference to how big their shields are. Now, the one problem with that is it's only the highest health. Now, if we're thinking about the units with the highest health, it's probably going to be either Fate Core Garf or Fate Core Ana. If you look at his base HP, it's 4,894, which is higher than pretty much everybody except Anastasia, which is 5,400. Now, with the Fate Core, it's going to boost him up to 5,894, which is way higher than Ana. And Ana's Fate Core only gives her about 200 health, I think. So it really isn't. So most of the time, it's probably going to be on Garf, unfortunately. So what that means is your Banga family, even though it is more effective now, still, if they have a Garf on the team, it's not going to be as effective. See, look, it only gives 240. So you're going to have to get rid of the Garf and then stack up the passive from the Banga family on, like the Ana, for example, to really be able to make use of it, unfortunately. So there's some light, though. If you don't have, there's no Garf on the team, of course, you know, it'll be more powerful. So those are the things that will, you know, decrease the defense, decrease the attack, and overall, I think it's a welcome change. For at the moment, it kind of sucks because it's going to make these units even stronger, but later on, I think they will be introducing some more debuff units to make it so that these units will be more, I guess, you know, less effective. And that's really the reason why I think they're making this change. Not for current, you know, the current meta, but for the future units that come out. And of course, you're thinking, well, in terms of current attack, that means the Fate Core Scarlet that just came out, the Summer Scarlet, is going to be more effective. Yes, I do agree, but I still don't think she's worth it to pull because the other Summer units will have that same passive and they'll probably have a better skill set. So still, save your Zez. Now, moving forward, hero description change. We have, so the blue border Baraka, Black Moon Baraka, Rocking of Wasted Red. Again, current attack instead of basic attack. This is kind of like a theme that's going to be occurring across the board. Block, it's going to heal current attack instead of, block is going to be base attack instead of current attack. So that is certainly, depending on what your units are, it could be seen as a buff or a nerf. I think most cases it's going to be a buff, but you know, if you have, let's say, Scarlet, right, or Fate Core Morris, and you're using as an attack buff, which I don't know why you'd be using that. Actually, well, there are some situations where you want to use it, but most of the time, I'd say that you should just save it for the second skill. But yeah, so that can be seen as a buff, can be seen as a nerf, depending on your team comp. And then some random Elite Shieldman Vanguard passive. Who uses that and why? But this is exciting. So they're making it so that these huge raid bosses they see, right? The Holy Dragon Ground and the Shelter of Avarice. Shelter of Avarice is not really as big, but Holy Dragon Grounds, they're, thank goodness, continuing to make that thing shorter, making it so that it doesn't take as long to kill, because they're removing the debuff that makes it so your attack goes down, so you can do more damage now and kill it faster. Whew, thank goodness. And then, you know, it's the same with these ones, right? So no more decreased attack, no more decreased attack. See, look, damage all enemies, damage all enemies. No more decreased attack. Thank goodness. This is amazing. And they're also reducing it down to 1 run. So these hopefully shouldn't take as long. Of course, they should make it so that you can skip it. I would love that, but I don't think they're going to do that. And then same with Shelter of Avarice. The barrier, or it's the thing is not gonna, his attack is no longer gonna decrease attack and defense, only health. Woo! I'm very happy about that. So, I mean, the thing is, like, this one, I don't think, let's see, not Fire, Frost, Machine. I think that means, what that means is that, depending on the day, right, whether it's a Fire day, whether it's an Earth day, Machine day, if you don't have that element, then it'll decrease your stats. So it's not as big because most of the time I'm running on full elements, same elements of that day. But for those of you who don't have those units or aren't, or running Maniac or something like that, then that is a welcome buff. But alright guys, hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Hopefully you are excited for the things to come. Of course, again, I mentioned Dragon Shield nerf is, well, can be a nerf. It's not a nerf right now, but in the future, I think that they're going to increase the amount of debuffs that the enemy, the units you have are going to have. Well, that came out terrible. They're going to increase the amount of debuffs in the future units so that it'll decrease attack, decrease defense, and as a result, these units will be less powerful because right now they're super powerful. So hopefully you guys are excited for the future. Leave a note in the comment if you disagree with anything I said, if you think that I'm missing something, if you think that you have another addition. Of course, leave a like if you enjoyed it. Thumbs down if you didn't, tell me why. And as always, consider hitting that sub button if you enjoy my content. I really appreciate it. And hope to see you guys again in the future. Alright, I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.